All right, we live. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? We live with Mr. Judge Joe Brown. What do you want to be called, Mr. Judge Joe
Mr.
Brown?
is redundant. That's like
That's what I was about to say.
But anyway, I got elected my second 8-year term, so the governor sent me this certificate saying, "Congratulations, you judge for the rest of your life" as a title. I guess that's like Colonel, but I'm not cooking fried chicken. Barbecue got a new barbecue line, but Judge Joe work right.
Okay.
Besides, that's my performing name. Years ago, when SAG-AFTRA wanted to get me on board, I had to pick one. I couldn't pick my name, but they said Judge Joe will do fine, Judge Joe Brown. So that's me. Official title and performing title, and
Well, welcome. Well, we're going to get right into it. I mean, I don't know if you've been abreast to what's going on with me. I started with a little misunderstanding with a former teammate and then a peer that I don't know really that good with Matt Barnes. I call him Becky with the good hair. But he invited me to his man parts after a simple disagreement that I tried to get them to correct behind the scenes. But if you understand how these gentlemen think, they're a little bit immature. So I brought you on.
You want to put childish?
Yeah. So I called them the go along, get along gang. So and since I've been calling, I like that mug.
I have a few of these.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. Since I called them the go along, get along gang, I've been doxxed like no other. My family history has come out on the Breakfast Club. Jamel Hill has come out and spoken about me and then tried to have plausible deniability saying she was talking about a game. Just Stephen A. Smith saying a narrative that he wanted to say. And then now we have Dr. Boyce Watkins who inserted himself into it. So is there a go along, get along gang or no?
Son, when you start trending, you start getting attention paid to you. And in my generation, we'd say when somebody's half stepping, they try to slow everybody down and put concrete out there for them to get mired in when the concrete hasn't set. But if you just step on out, wipe your feet off, you can go do it. It's like dog shit, when you're dealing with dog shit, you got to avoid stepping in it. Yeah. But they try to put it in front of you, so you keep running into it. Yeah. My thing with the Breakfast Club is it's poisonous. Part of this agenda of pushing this narrative of LGBT QIA plus, whatever in the hell it is right now. I don't have anything against somebody being gay. What you do in your own damn bedroom is your own damn business. But when you start trying to mess it up for everybody else, because you got a
butt up to the show. Did you see that show?
That whole crew, I challenged them to a debate. I said I'd whip their behinds, but they won't take the old man on. I know it'll be embarrassing. The old man whips all three of you one at a time. It's your option. Let's go someplace neutral where you don't ambush your guest and put all that rainbow shit in the background.
So you think that's an agenda that they're pushing?
Yeah, it's an agenda. I saw it when I was at UCLA 50 plus years ago. They started saying that they were going to destroy manhood. See, first you had the lesbians who hated men. You had the feminists who hated that they weren't men. You had the soy boy, beta boys, you'd call them now, who were white boys who couldn't make it in a white man's world. And you had nothing at that point until you started getting the anti-war thing developing in the late mid-60s. And they came up with this stupid idea that war is a man thing. So the way to stop war is to change the way boys are raised to men. And if you raise them like girls, so they wanted dolls and frilly stuff and were soft and emotional, that would keep boys from becoming warlike when they got to be men. So when you put that ballast into the mix, they started taking over. Now, a little slight history. I'm going to make it as quick as I can.
No, take your time.
The late 60s, color TV was bankrupting the major movie studios, Paramount, Warner Brothers, uh, MGM, and such like. And they started firing executives to bring people in to get new ideas. See, at that time, if you were an adult, it cost you 50 cents to go to your local movie theater. And every Thursday and Sunday, they had 2 new movies,
Man,
3 cartoons, and some features. So you could walk in anytime you wanted to
for 50 cents.
and
Wow.
see what you would be seeing, and then see the whole thing, and then sit through what you missed or keep sitting there.
Yeah.
And no matter how big a hit the movie was, every Thursday and Sunday they changed and had 2 more. So the studios are making like 120, 250 movies a year, and they all had the same cast of stars that were in every movie. Well, what they came up with was 2 things. They had these young, bright folk that were part of this crew that is going to destroy masculinity.
Okay.
And they said, wow, we have a market. Let's go after the black folk down at the bottom who are getting neglected. They have money to spend. And if we come up with what we term black exploitation movies, they'll come out. So the way to come out is appeal to the lowest common denominator. So let's glorify the pimps, hoes, drug dealers, thugs, bank robbers, gangsters, and everything else.
Makes sense. Oh.
And they started doing that, and they started glorifying dysfunction. And I heard them discussing this. They said, we need to start with 2 things. The black woman was the role model because she controlled her men the way they looked at it. And 2, if we start experimenting on black males and trying to see if we can take them down a notch. So instead of I'm black and I'm proud, Ungawa black power, afro, and a beard, jeans, and fatigue jacket, and ready for the revolution, they came out with Superfly in 1971, 72, where this dude's got processed heads, driving a pimp mobile, selling drugs, and they make him a hero. They had Black Caesar with Fred the Hammer Williams, and that plot was he was a major drug dealer who was trying to become the only drug dealer, and he was killing and assassinating a whole lot of people. He became the hero, driving off in the limo into the sunset, smoking a big Cuban cigar. And see, they started doing that. Well, when you get this mix rolling, they also had another thing too, which was, let's take over the political parties. And you used to hear them on campus talking this nonsense all the time, where they'd get into the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. And the thing was, the Republican Party would work behind the scenes, or at least the ones that got in there. And in the Democratic Party, they'd be the voice. So from time to time, they would deliberately cause a lot of confusion. And when they caused a lot of confusion, then they could work behind the scenes and nobody would see. So slowly, they ran this propaganda. And the best propaganda engine in the whole world was doing it. I mean, even Adolf Hitler and Heinrich Himmler and Goebbels for the Nazis said, we have to model what we do on the American entertainment industry because it gets in so many people's heads, and we need to copy that methodology.
Oh.
Now, they did this, and for 50 years, they have propaganda glorifying dysfunction. Now, if you want to see the contrast from 1920 to 1940 is 20 years. That's the only time the Nazis had to work. This same group, using the methodology that the Nazis based theirs on, had 50 years, not 20. So we think in terms of their narrative with such foolish shit as toxic masculinity. That's not a word. Okay, homophobic, that's not a word. That's only 10 years old, you see. And the word, for example, for that one is heterophobia, which is the opposite, which is for several hundred years, gay folk had to deal with being lynched, mutilated, beat up, jacked up, fired, thrown in jail, ostracized, all kinds of stuff. So one of the propaganda techniques that is very effective that the Nazis knew is flip the script. Accused your enemy of being like you or doing what you do. So they're heterophobic and they flip the script to homophobic. For example, you can find old dictionaries, they've got heterophobic, but they don't have homophobia in there. But now if you type it into an iPhone, heterophobia is red underlined because they don't recognize it as a word, but homophobic, they'll put up a rainbow, you get that little emoji popping up. That's the flipping of the script. All right. And when they start getting you thinking this way, toxic masculinity. See, what they call toxic masculinity is the absence, because that's where you come in. Where I come in is we're trying to deal with imposing masculinity, because masculinity is a set of standards inputted into a boy so long, so often, so hard that when he becomes a man, it is innate in his character. And that's about making where you live a better, safer,